I'm going to graph a quadratic that fits the following points using a graphing program via trial and error. So the following points are these points right here, 0, 0, 2, 8, negative 1, 2. Graphing program I'm going to use is called Desmos, DESMOS.com. And as of 2018, this is free and this works fine. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put these points here onto the graph. So I opened up a bracket, 0, comma 0. It automatically closes the bracket, and look, it's put the point right here. So below, I'm going to open a bracket, 2, comma 8, and negative 1, comma 2. And I'd just like to show you, if I didn't put a bracket in there, if I just put negative 1, comma 2, it doesn't work. It gives me an error. It doesn't know what to do with that. You need a round bracket to put a point on here. Okay, now that I have these points, I'm going to graph a parabola, and then I'm going to try and change the values, the parameters of the parabola to make it fit through those points. So the simple parabola is y is equal to x squared. And as you can see, this parabola here just slightly misses. I don't know if you saw that. To get it to do squared, I did a hat. So, well, they call that hat. If you press Shift 6 or on your cell phone, it looks like a triangle. It's missing the bottom. So I type in X and then Shift 6. That brings it up, and then a 2. So I've got y equals x squared. It hit this point, but notice it missed this point and it missed that point. So what I need is to move this part of the parabola up. Now, this is trial and error. Let's say I didn't know what I was doing. The first tempting thing would be to shift the whole thing up, so I could do plus 1. So I've now got y equals x squared plus 1. And that made me hit this point, but it moved me away from here, and it didn't quite hit that point. I could try plus 2 in an attempt to get closer to that point, maybe plus 3. Now I'm really close, but notice it's moved me away from these other points, so I need to do something else. In addition to adding the number on here, I could multiply here. You see, what if I put a 3 here? That makes everything 3 times as steep, but notice it started at 0 and it stayed at 0, so I didn't lose this point. But it looks like 3 is a little bit too much, so I'm going to put in a 2. Now with y equals x squared, y equals 2 times x squared, I have a parabola that goes through the 3 points, 0, 0, 2, 8, and negative 1, 2. So on your worksheet, just write this in the equation up top, y equals 2x squared. So write that in there, 2x squared. And then you can fill in some more points. So I've got 0, 2, negative 1. So I could put in maybe a 1 and a 3. And 1 squared is 1 times 2 is 2. 3 squared is 9 times 2 is 18. So that gives me a few more points. And then you can draw your graph on here. I'm going to go over one more example. So next example on your sheet, I've got 4, 7, 3, 6, and 6, 3. So let's just get rid of these. And this is 4, 7, 3, oh, I need brackets, 3, 6, and 6, 3. So now I have a parabola, and it looks like this parabola's got to be upside down. So if I start out y equals x squared, it looks like I'm nowhere near getting through these dots. And I'm not even really the right shape, except, what if I turn my parabola upside down? So if I make that a negative, I've got this shape here, which is going to go through those dots there. I've got to shift it up. That's a 5, That's all the way up to 7, so I'm going to just throw in a plus 7. So that's moved me up here. Now I want to move this to the left or to the right. The trick for doing that is you throw brackets around the x. And with brackets around the x, if I add to it, it'll move it to the left. But if I subtract from it, it'll move it to the right. So I'm going to try and move it a few more spots to the right. And I've hit all the dots, and my equation is y equals negative x minus 4 squared plus 7. Now, I've got plenty of other questions on the worksheet, so you can copy these and then proceed with the others. The end of the sheet has some equations here. I'm going to get you to enter those equations into here, graph them, fill that in with the points. As you get better and better at this, and then at the very end of the sheet, I want you to describe, generalize what these various parts of that equation do to affect the shape and the look of the parabola. Oh yeah, as my son told me to say, if you're new here, subscribe and smash the like button.